Bray Wyatt delivers a cryptic version of the FireFly Funhouse last night on SmackDown, seemingly kickstarting his feud with Bobby Lashley on the road to WrestleMania. Gunther, could he be in line to be a future world champion in WWE? Certainly, if reports are accurate, as Triple H is a big fan of the Intercontinental Champion. What happened with Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso last night on SmackDown? We've got details on that. Dominic Mysterio appeared on the blue brand and confronted the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, as well as his father, Rey Mysterio. Santos Escobar seemingly confirms his babyface turn last night on SmackDown. A senior vice president departs WWE due to a HR violation. We've got interesting details on that story. Money in the Bank in London sells out in less than 60 seconds. Roman Reigns makes history in WWE 2K23 with an all-time high rating. And the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. Why would Dave Meltzer give Triple H the Booker of the Year over Tony Khan despite his readers voting the other way? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. And let's start off talking about the FireFly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt's Uncle Howdy. What's going on with that world? Well, on the latest edition of Bray Wyatt's classic FireFly Funhouse, there was one very important question. Can you keep a secret? With a multi-layered FireFly Funhouse, which will surely be hotly debated and dissected online, which is exactly what we're going to do, Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy appeared in the fascinating segment. Now, we've got some images. We can break it down piece by piece, screenshot by screenshot, frame by frame, and give you some of these hidden Easter eggs and meanings that you might have missed during last night's segment on SmackDown. So as you can see, it starts off, as they always tend to do, these FireFly Funhouse segments, with the FireFly Funhouse in itself, the classic version of the Funhouse, nothing too big to report there. Now, suddenly it gets a bit dark, a red light appears across the screen, which is interesting, of course, because what light also appeared on the screen whenever The Fiend has his matches in WWE? Of course, it was the red light. Certainly, that could imply that The Fiend could indeed be coming back to WWE. We haven't seen him since WrestleMania 37, when he was defeated by Randy Orton after Alexa Bliss turned on him. We also haven't seen The Fiend since Bray Wyatt returned to WWE last year at Extreme Rules. Even though Bray Wyatt said The Fiend is dead, he's also been dead before and he's found a way to come back. Now, eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed in this picture, in this frame, that actually not only was the red light a hint at The Fiend, there was also something else that was interesting. If you look at the bottom of the door right there, you see a small Jack-in-the-Box. Now, you might think that Jack-in-the-Box does look a bit familiar, and it should, because it's the same Jack-in-the-Box that Alexa Bliss has used on television multiple times, particularly in the build-up to The Fiend's return on the road to WrestleMania 37, of course, the last time that we saw The Fiend. Alexa Bliss would regularly appear on programming, turning the Jack-in-the-Box, playing the music, playing the song. She would then tease and taunt Randy Orton with it, again on the road to WrestleMania, teasing The Fiend's return. This was kind of the method in which she was going to bring The Fiend back to WWE programming, and indeed that's what it was. The entrance for WrestleMania 37, the last time that we saw The Fiend in question, last time we saw The Fiend in a match against Randy Orton, what happened? There was a big Jack-in-the-Box at ringside, which Alexa Bliss played, and it led to the entrance, the return of this version of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So certainly that Jack-in-the-Box appearing in the FireFly Funhouse could mean something to do with Alexa Bliss. It could mean something to do with The Fiend. Of course, Alexa Bliss, we haven't seen her since the Royal Rumble, where she lost that Raw Women's Championship match to Bianca Belair. But after the match, we saw Uncle Howdy appear. And as he's been taunting her in recent weeks, seemingly implying that she was going to go back into storylines with Wyatt. However, it must be said, since then we haven't seen Alexa Bliss. It had been reported that she maybe had requested some time off, for what we don't know. But certainly it still could imply that Alexa Bliss could be involved in everything involving Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy. As I mentioned, it was at that WrestleMania 2 that Alexa Bliss turned on The Fiend, and Alexa Bliss turned on The Fiend sitting on what? The same Jack-in-the-Box that appeared in the FireFly Funhouse segment last night. So the Jack-in-the-Box is actually a real key indicator of everything here. Some might see it as just a throwaway, but the red light of doom, which again is associated with The Fiend, you can see it in the picture right there. It's red, it's enshadowing The Fiend once again, but on top of that, it's the same Jack-in-the-Box which resurrected The Fiend, but also sent The Fiend away. Is that where, in the mind of Bray Wyatt, The Fiend is locked in? Is he locked in that same Jack-in-the-Box? Now, we then turn to the television, the old school television from like the 50s or 60s or 70s in the Firefly Funhouse, and we see someone playing with two figurines. Now, actually, if you look closely, it's actually the Undertaker, an old version of the Undertaker. Now, some people said it was fighting with Bray Wyatt, but for me, that looks like two versions of the Undertaker, an old sort of 1994, 1995 version of the Undertaker with the grey gloves and the grey sort of kick pads and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's just two versions of The Undertaker, which of course is interesting because recently, what did we see on the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw? We saw the American Badass version of The Undertaker seemingly pass the torch to Bray Wyatt in that moment during the segment with LA Knight. And we've seen lots of Undertaker references during Firefly Funhouse episodes in the past, so that isn't anything particularly new, but again, certainly a curious and interesting Easter egg. Now, as far as the hands, they don't look like Bray Wyatt's hands to me. If anything, they look like female hands. I might be wrong there, but maybe that's Alexa Bliss too. Could that be a sort of indicator for Alexa Bliss to get involved in the future? You let me know in the comment section below. Now, we then see a clip of Bray Wyatt doing his promo that he did in Montreal last week where he attacked Hit Row and he and Uncle Howdy called out the winner of the Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley match at Elimination Chamber. It then pans out and we see Bray Wyatt with the sunglasses on and the cap on, I guess being a director. He's sitting in the production truck and he's laughing at camera going, oh, can you believe that? Now, what that really means, I'm not too sure if this is another version. This could just be a case of reminding people of this whole sort of Bobby Lashley feud that seemingly is kickstarting, but that certainly is interesting. Now, I did see people on social media look at the walkie-talkie that you can see right there in the bottom right-hand corner where it says Luis Vasquez camera, and some people thought, oh, is that a subtle hint? Is that a subtle Easter egg? Well, I suppose it is an Easter egg, but not really a big one as you would expect. Luis Vasquez is just someone in the WWE camera and electrical department. If you look on IMDb, you can see him right there. He's known for SmackDown. He's known for Monday Night Raw. Again, I don't know if he's always been there, but he's just a name that's part of the WWE camera and electrical department. So again, it's nothing too big. It might just be, you see him all the time in sort of Marvel or DC movies where they put people's names in places and they're just people that have worked on the movie. I'm sure it's just a long-time camera person that works backstage in WWE, and it was just fun and an element of realism to add to the segment itself. Now, we then see Bobby Lashley this past Monday on Raw talking about being disrespected by the likes of Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt. I won't be disrespected by either person. What I did quite like is that even the Raw logo and the sort of graphic that you would usually see whenever they do these replays, when they say Raw last Monday, even this one is done in the Firefly Funhouse sort of manner. It's a little interesting sort of way that they've done it where the Raw is kind of clearly like scribbled on with the same way as the last Monday. That's quite fun too. We then go to the Firefly Funhouse News, FFN, and we have Bray Wyatt in full Firefly Funhouse gear in his sweatshirt, in his sweater, as Uncle, Mr. Rogers, whatever you want to call him, version of Bray Wyatt. And we have Ramblin' Rabbit, and they're talking about a dragon. They're talking about a three-headed dragon has appeared, and the question is who opened the door? Again, all of these rhetorical questions. Again, maybe implying that something else is coming in the future. We then go to Uncle Howdy, who's doing the weather, who, again, it's interesting because it's Uncle Howdy doing the weather, but you can, so if you're hoping to hear Bo Dallas's voice, you're not going to hear Bo Dallas's voice. They've got the sort of computerized voice, the ones you can get on sort of the Mac computers back in the day. You could type in and then it says it out loud. It's just that. But again, talking about that, it's a very small cameo. Again, it's quite interesting, but more and more you do feel like it is indeed Bo Dallas. But Uncle Howdy does the weather. We then get into this game show segment, or game show element of this segment, called Can You Keep a Secret? And that's the whole premise of this whole thing. Can you keep a secret? It's the question that kept being asked over and over and over and over and over again. Can you keep a secret? And in this, various spooky voices continuously spoke in the background. I guess we might find out more, maybe, about this sort of game show element of this, but it was Can You Keep a Secret? And as Bray Wyatt then appeared, looking, I suppose, a bit like Bob Barker-ish with the microphone, once again asking, well, can you keep a secret? And then we have, the schedule of what's to come in the future. Still to come, Channel 6 at 10 p.m, Can You Keep a Secret? Channel 6 at 11 p.m, Can You Keep a Secret? Channel 6 at 12 a.m, well, can you? Stay tuned. Now, some people initially were looking at, what program are they really referring to? I don't think you need to look too much into the times. What I do think you need to look into is the channel number. Clearly, channel 6, channel 6, channel 6. You don't need to be too, much of a well-read to figure out what they're trying to do there. They're trying to do 666, which of course is the devil. They're referring to Bray Wyatt as the devil. Not MJF. They're referring, I guess, to Bray Wyatt, or a new version of Bray Wyatt, or maybe an old version as the Fiend, as the devil. 666, can you keep a secret? Can you keep a secret? The question is, what is the secret? Now, we then get cut in to by the emergency broadcast system, which again is usually a situation whereby if there's a massive emergency or anything like that, or all satellites go down and all communication is lost. When you see in those zombie or apocalypse movies when they can only use the emergency broadcast system to get across the message, or sometimes it can cut into certain television programs if there's a problem, or radio programs if there's a problem to get across an important message. So we see that there. Once again, cutting into our regularly tuned, regularly scheduled programming. We then go back to the Firefly Funhouse and we see the door open. Remember, abandon all hope ye who enter here. And as we open the door, we see lots of different images, and it's more of just the Wyatt 6 imagery that we've seen since Bray Wyatt has returned. And we see, for instance, this evil face, which is quite interesting because we've seen versions of this evil face, but we haven't actually seen it on the person in a while. So that could be someone else too, I think, and that I don't think that's been fully looked into as much just yet. But he appears in the door. And that ends with Bray Wyatt with a new mask. I say a new mask, a mask certainly similar to the one that we saw him use at Extreme Rules when he returned. But this version is actually a black version from what we could see. We did see Wyatt wearing this mask last week when he attacked Hit Row. And once again, the question is, well, can you? And what was interesting actually is when we had in the previous picture there, when we had all of the imagery going on in the Firefly Funhouse, there were screams, which some people said could be once again Alexa Bliss. I don't know what it is, but seemingly what is being hinted at is a new version, a different version of Bray Wyatt that is coming, especially in this feud seemingly with Bobby Lashley on the road to WrestleMania. So let me know about all of your thoughts on all of those Easter eggs, all of those hidden meanings in the Firefly Funhouse. What does it all mean? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now let's talk about Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion Gunther, and it's no surprise, seemingly, that Triple H loves the guy. Ever since Triple H took over WWE Creative from Vince McMahon back in July last year, several WWE stars have found themselves better off over the past few months. One of those names is current Intercontinental Champion Gunther, who recently became the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of the century. Gunther's incredible Intercontinental title reign, on top of him breaking the record for the longest time spent in a Royal Rumble match last month as well. Speaking to Give Me Sport, WrestleVotes confirmed that what we could already tell, and that is that Triple H loves the Ring General, but Triple H is not his only believer behind the scenes. They said, quote, Triple H loves him. They all love him ever since he came into his own at Clash at the Castle. I'm not just talking about Triple H. Road Dogg is big on him. Jason Jordan really likes him. With many speculating that WWE could be set to split the World Championships after WrestleMania, WrestleVotes noted that Gunther could likely be in the World Championship picture by the summer of this year, with him even potentially being next in line for a run with the top title. They said, quote, once WWE gets 2 world titles, you double the amount of people in the main event. Gunther is ready to step up. I would expect by the summer to see him at the top of the card. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a world title. He might be next in line. Of course, Roman Reigns currently holds both the WWE and Universal Championships and is set to defend them both against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Gunther as the year goes on, but wouldn't be shocked if he's a world champion at some point this year, especially if they split those titles. Now, what happened with Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and the Bloodline last night on SmackDown? Well, Jey Uso's loyalty was once again called into question on Friday's SmackDown as one half of the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions refused to get involved in a brawl between his brother Jimmy Uso and Sami Zayn. Prior to the brawl, Zayn and Jimmy had an emotional exchange in the ring, with Zayn imploring Jimmy to save yourself from the sinking ship, i.e. the Bloodline, before it's too late. A fired-up Zayn would also accuse Roman Reigns of manipulating his own cousins just to remain the top champion in WWE for nearly 3 years. Quote, family does not manipulate you the way Roman Reigns did to me and the way he has done to your twin. That's what he did to you for years, Zayn told Jimmy. At this point, Jay appeared in the nosebleed section of the arena, even as Zayn continued pouring his heart out to Jimmy. The bloodline is not about Roman Reigns, Zayn stressed. I'm going to make sure the bloodline comes crumbling down, but there's a way out for you. Just like I told Jay, there's a way out for you. You don't have to go down with the ship. I'm looking into your eyes. I know you know that's the truth. At this point, Zayn and Jimmy looked towards Jay, who started walking down the flight of stairs in the arena. Jimmy took the opportunity to nail Zayn with a cheap shot. Just as Jimmy urged Jay to join him in the ring, Zayn struck Jay with his signature haluva kick. Jay and Zayn continued to stare at one another until Solo Sikoa hit the ring, forcing Zayn to retreat. Now, earlier in the night, Paul Heyman urged Jimmy to handle the Jay situation, or else he would. With Reigns set to appear on next week's SmackDown, it remains to be seen if Jay continues to defy the bloodline. As noted previously, Reigns and Sikoa are scheduled to wrestle Zayn and Kevin Owens at a WWE house show in Toronto next weekend. It's possible the events of next week's SmackDown could set up that match between Reigns and Sikoa and Zayn and Owens at the house show. A rare house show appearance from Roman Reigns certainly as well. Now, let's talk about some other happenings on SmackDown last night, that being Dominic Mysterio confronting several people. Hard times Don, I guess, Prison Dom, continues to run rampant over WWE. Dominic Mysterio had a busy night on SmackDown. Not only did he confront his father, Ray, once again, and cost him yet another match, this time against Karrion Kross, he also spoke on behalf of his mammy, Rhea Ripley, ahead of her WrestleMania 39 showdown with SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Earlier in the evening, Mysterio and Ripley interrupted a nice moment between Ray and Santos Escobar, and Dom proceeded to belittle his father. That wouldn't be the last of it, but first it was time for the Eradicator of the Judgment Day to face off with Flair. Only it was Dominic who came to the ring instead. He went on about how he and Flair were both generational superstars and they often get compared to their fathers but surpass them anyway. The SmackDown Women's Champion took issue with that, instead telling Dominic that she loves her dad and that if he were here, he'd kick Mysterio's butt. Throw a little romance chatter in there and Flair seemed more amused than anything. When she finally stopped him, Ripley made her entrance to make the save, delivering on their promised face-off. But the young man wasn't done for the evening. Near the end of the night, Ray looked to have Kross beat and had him set up for the 619, only for Dom to sweep in and prevent his father from connecting. Kross locked in the cross jacket shortly thereafter, and that was that. Then the father and son met face to face in the ring yet again, but despite constant egging by Dominic demanding his father to do something and hit him, Rey Mysterio walked away once more. However, it is still expected, certainly, we are going to get Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania later on this year. And we did just touch on, didn't we, about Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio. And on last night's edition of SmackDown, a formerly heelish presentation took once again another pivot towards becoming a babyface, with a previous digital exclusive clip reference on television teasing a turn coupled with a heartwarming interaction last night. Has a WWE heel officially turned babyface? After previously teasing a babyface turn, it seems one WWE star is truly a good guy. In a backstage segment, Santos Escobar debuted some gorgeous Louis Vuitton sunglasses and met up with Rey Mysterio. Referencing the previously released clip online where the duo exchanged respect, Santos Escobar approached Mysterio backstage before they were interrupted by some Raw interlopers, that being Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. However, certainly it does suggest and seem like Santos Escobar is turning babyface. Maybe for a post-WrestleMania feud with either Rey Mysterio or Dominic Mysterio. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Santos Escobar is going to get involved somehow, some way. I'm not sure. It does feel like at some point, though, we're going to get Escobar versus Rey Mysterio, certainly. This is a really interesting story, and if you're into office politics, then this one's for you. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful has reported that they have learned that WWE Senior Vice President of Talent Operations and Strategy, James Kimball, is no longer with the company. Now, Fightful are reporting that they were told it was a HR violation, and he was terminated immediately this week. Kimball had been with the company for 2 years, working on the Next in Line program, among other things. He also spent 10 years with UFC. Now, in a follow-up on this story, it was noted to Fightful that HR violation is fairly broad and could mean that no one else was directly affected. However, that wasn't confirmed to Fightful beyond noting that it could mean a variety of things. There were several WWE wrestlers and actually UFC fighters who contacted Fightful and noted that they were surprised by the move. Kimball was well known in UFC circles for his decade of work, but one wrestler also stated that Kimball at one time looked to be a major name associated with WWE for years, if not decades to come. One talent said they were shocked that Kimball was out, while several others inquired about the details behind the move. Fightful have heard that Kimball had worked closely with Triple H during his run and actually spoke with free agent talent fairly recently about possibly coming to the company. For those wondering, this isn't a case of Vince McMahon making a firing upon his return to the company, so it's very strange. I mean, I know people are looking into it as conspiracies, but again, HR violation can mean a lot of things. As someone that has worked in the HR field before, it can mean a variety of things, and it's ironic, of course, that a company like WWE, who talk about rules not being followed in that company from a HR perspective. It's very interesting. I doubt we'll probably find out more details. We might, and of course, if we do, we'll let you know here on the channel. An update on Money in the Bank as well, and as expected, the demand for tickets for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view later on this year at the O2 Arena are very, 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 very high. Tickets went on sale for the event in the pre-sale earlier this week, with tickets being in high demand. The original pre-sale launch was delayed an hour to allow Ticketmaster to accommodate for the high demand for the show, with the allocation selling out in just 3 minutes. If 3 minutes sounds impressive, you'll be even more shocked to hear that yesterday's general sale began at 12 p.m. noon, and just 1 minute later, fans attempting to secure tickets were told that the event was totally sold out. Now, as of yesterday afternoon, a few limited higher value and platinum seats are available, with prices ranging from £509 to over £1,300 for a 2-night pass. These incredible ticket sales come just a few months after WWE held its first major stadium event in the United Kingdom for Clash at the Castle in Cardiff back in September. The success of Clash at the Castle was a contributing factor in bringing Money in the Bank over to the UK this year. This will mark the first time the event has been held outside of the United States. The demand was always going to be high. Look, the O2 is a big arena, but it's not like doing it at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. So I always felt this was going to be the case, honestly. And again, to be honest with you, there'll be some disappointed people because they weren't able to get tickets. But again, just goes to show the general demand for all of these tickets right now for Money in the Bank. Roman Reigns makes history. He's constantly making history, but now he's made it as well when it comes to the WWE 2K series games. WWE 2K23 is due for release on March 17, and the Superstar ratings have revealed a history-making ranking for one top name. Previously, the highest-ranked WWE wrestler in the Superstar ratings was held by The Undertaker with a score of 98 in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. The record has now been broken by none other than the Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns. The head of the table really has become the head of yet another table as he sits atop of the rankings in WWE 2K23 with a score of 99. Not only is Roman Reigns at the top of the Superstar ratings for the upcoming game, but for the WWE video game franchise historically. Again, not really surprising, but I guess if you're going to be going up against him, it's going to be pretty difficult to beat the current undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Finally, there's been a lot of discussion about all of these Wrestling Observer awards and all this kind of stuff. Now, as one would expect, and I could go into all of them, I don't think there's any point. Social media got outraged by them. What I will say is this. Clearly, people that read The Observer are slanted towards AEW. And I think people were criticizing Dave Meltzer for these awards because you got people like Promotion of the Year being AEW, Booker of the Year being Tony Khan, the worst promotion being WWE, the worst television program being Monday Night Raw, worse than, by the way, NWA Power or CYN. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it really is ridiculous. But a lot of these awards were giving out positively to AEW. What I will say is it's voted on by the readers of The Observer who clearly like AEW. Don't take it too seriously. Don't get too upset. It really doesn't matter. They're not proper awards. They're just awards done by The Observer. But even Dave Meltzer said, and this is what's funny, and maybe he should say this more to his audience, even Dave Meltzer said, I wouldn't have given the Booker of the Year to Tony Khan. I'd have given it to Triple H because he's done a better job this year. But according to his readers, WWE is just the death of everything. It's very, very strange. But there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.